Alright, number 14. Determine g of f of 1. I'm missing a parenthesis here, so we're supposed to put 1 into f. 1 minus 1 is 0. E to the 0 is 1 times 2 is 2. So this becomes, see, that's g of 2 e to the 1 minus 1. E to the 0 is 1 times 2 is 2, so this is g of 2. And 2, that's 2 minus 2, which is 0. Now we're supposed to put f inside of g. And so that would be g of f, which is 2 e to the x minus 1. And if I put that into g, I get 2e to the x minus 1 for the x minus 2. And now we're supposed to put h into g. But h is only defined for certain points. So we're going to be able to start h with a 1 or a 2 or a 4 or a -1. Now 1 goes to -1, so I got to find g of -1. -1 minus 2 is -3. If I put in 2 in there, I get 1, and 1 minus 2, g of 1, 1 minus 2 is -1. If I put in 4, 4 goes to 3, so I got to find g of 3. 3 minus 2 is 1. Then I got to find g of, see, -1 goes to 4. So g of 4 is 4 minus 2 is 2. Graph f of x. So I'm supposed to graph which is 2e to the x minus 1. Now I could do this by translations. If I know what the parent function e to the x looks like, which is something like this, and then I'd have to move it +1 and then stretch it by 2. But I can also just make a table and say when it's minus 2, I get 2e to the minus 3, which is, and I can work it out on a calculator. In fact, I'll do it the quick way on the calculator. I'll go to y equals and type in 2e to the x minus 1, and then I go second table set and start it at -3 and go by ones, and then I go to the table and it says -3, -2 I was doing is 0.0995. -1 is 0.27. 0 is 0.73. And 1 is 2. And 2 is 5.4. So I'll graph -2. Label my graph. -2 is 0.09, so it's really close to here. -1 is 0.27. 0 is 0.73. And this is 2 up here, and then 2 out here, and 1 is 2, and 2 is 5.4. Okay. And determine f inverse of x. So if I have f of x or y equals 2e to the x minus 1, then I've got to switch the y and the x. So I've got x equals 2e to the y minus 1. So I divide by 2. Then now I've got to solve for the power, so I write this as a log, and the base is e, so I'm going to write to what power do I take e to get x over 2. E to what power do I take e to get x over 2, and that's to the y minus 1, and so I'll add 1 both sides, and I get y equals, or the f inverse of x, inverse of x is ln x divided by 2 plus 1. Um, 15. So ln of e cancels, or the 4.5 comes down, and ln of e is 1, so we get 2 times 4.5, which is 9. 10 to the log of 5, and that's base 10, they cancel, so this becomes just the square root of 5. This one, we have 8 and 2, we're basically powers of 2, so that's 2 to the third is 8. 2 to the 2x. So we get 9x plus 3 equals 2x. So subtract 9x and we get 3 equals negative 7x. Divide by negative 7, and x equals negative 3/7. This one says, to what power do we take this to get x is inside, so we write this as a power. Square root of 3 to the negative 4 is x. Well, square root of 3 is 3 to the 1/2. To the negative 4 is x. Half of negative 4 is negative 2, so we get 3 to the negative 2, which is 1/3 to the 2, or 1/9. This one. So let's take this log over to the other side, so we get log of 7x minus 12 plus log of x equals 2. When it's plus, we multiply, so we get log of 7x minus 12 times x equals 2. The x is in here, so we write it as a power, and so we have 10 to the 2 equals 7x squared minus 12x. So I'll subtract 100 from both sides to get it equal to 0. And I can factor, let's see, that would be 7 and x and 1x, if this factors, and 100, let's see, if we do 7, 5 and 20, 5 and 20, no, 4 and 25, it'd be 28, no, let's see, I'm gonna, let's see, negative 12, so this is going to take a little thinking here, or I could do it with the quadratic formula, but let's see here, 8, I gotta get 700 Let's just do the quadratic formula. So, program. It's not an easy one to factor. Program quadratic formula. 7, -12, -100, and they're not pretty numbers, so it doesn't factor, and we get 4.732 or 3.018, and that's -3.7, and we can't use the log of a negative because that would be negative. And 4 times 7 is 28 minus 12. That would be positive. That would be positive. So this one must work. And you could check that by putting, let's do that. I'll say, type that number. 4.73275999. Store X. And now we'll do log of 7x minus 12. And that's that number. And then we're going to do 2 minus log x. Oop. Oh, I did the wrong minus. Minus log x. And same number, so that answer checks. Alright, this one, don't have like bases, but we could change this to log because it's a power here, and this is already down to a simple base, so we could write this as, to what power do we take 2 to get 3, and the answer is x plus 1. Subtract 1 and we get log base 2 of 3 minus 1 equals x. This we can figure out by doing the change of base rule, which is log 3 over log 2 in base 10. So the answer is log 3 divided by log 2 minus 1. What did I do? 2 minus 1. And I get x to be 0.5849. Now let's do it another way here and change the base. So this could be 10 to the log 2 to the x plus 1 equals 10 to the log 3. So we got log 2 times x plus 1 equals log 3 because the bases are both 10. So we got log 2 times x plus log 2 equals log 3. So we can subtract log 2 from both sides. So we'd have log 3 minus log 2 equals x log 2. Divide both sides by log 2. And you could type that into the calculator, but this would be log 3 over log 2, and log 2 over log 2 is minus 1, so this will come out to be the same answer. Okay.